This brings to order the September 27, 2018 public hearing of the Zoning Board of Appeals. First order of business is two requests for adjournments, 3005, the Meadow Club, and 3307, the Spur. Can I get a motion to
So
adjourn?
move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
First order of business is a request for a renewal of wetland permit 2973. I spoke with Mr. Robertson about this. He thought it was quite reasonable. They're moving forward with Department of Health and everything. So is there a motion to approve that renewal?
I move we approve that renewal.
Aye, second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Pending decisions, we have 3004, McClanahan, 131 Lee Avenue. Anybody want to make a motion?
I motion that we accept this as amended with the removal of the outside shower, into the shower in the bathroom.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it passes. Next one is 3006, Carolyn Welch, 340 Hill Street.
I move we accept this as written.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Right. Pending cases, 3003 Madison Avenue Capital Partners, 1323 Meadow Lane. For the applicant,
Lee Larkin, Bennett Madoff. This is at 212 Windmill Lane in Southampton. When we were here last meeting, the board requested that we submit additional information regarding the proposed sanitary field in the front of the residence. So we had submitted a wall detail showing the depth and the structure of the retaining wall, the proposed facing of the retaining wall, and then we are proposing screen plantings along the front of it, which I know the visibility of the retaining wall along Meadow was a concern of the board. After the work session last week, we submitted a revised plan because there was a comment regarding the proposed plant materials. So we are proposing to plant inkberry in front of it, which is a native plant, and it's a compact variety, so it should be small enough to fit in this space. And this detail was submitted yesterday with the board. I don't know if there's any additional questions or...
Kelly, can you just confirm the last revision date on that wall detail?
Sure.
3003.
It's September 25th, 2018.
good? Here, take these and file them. Anybody on the board have anything to say about this?
Looks like they've done just what we asked, huh?
I think so. Anybody from the audience have any comments? So if there's no objections, perhaps we should...
You can close the hearing, and as discussed at the work session, Chick prepared a wetland special permit with all the appropriate conditions as discussed, and there was also a written decision with respect to the pyramid and front yard setback as well in your file. So if you're inclined, you could approve those decisions.
Approve all the decisions.
We need Chick's right, we don't have that, right?
You do have it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, we do have it.
And I was just checking with, and it actually, they did forward a copy of that latest wall detail with the inkberry to Chick, and it's referenced in the his permit conditions.
All right, so we entertain a motion to approve the decision.
I move we approve the decision.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. Next case being 3008 Greenblatt 2015 Trust, 1990 Meadow Lane. Yeah, there's no cross, no street thing.
You got it? Check what those things in the application.
I think it has it.
Well, they'll have to be up.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, you don't want to put that in?
We already have one. No, we
Well,
don't.
he has the check marks on it. All right.
Good evening, everyone. John Hamilton, LaGuardia Design Group. I'm the landscape architect on the project. Chick and Wayne had a couple points for us on the last hearing. There's 4 things in question, very minor, but we revised all those for this plan. We've resubmitted to you. Those can be found in the lower right here, these 4 revisions, so I'll just run through these briefly with you. Chick had a point that anywhere where we're cutting phragmites or maintaining them in this zone near Meadow Lane, that we replant them with a specific plant. So we've labeled that on here, and in the plant chart, native grasses are going to be used to replace any phragmites that are cut or managed. The second point is to add some spacing notes to the table for these areas, which has been added in there. Again, very minor. Third point, Wayne and Chick brought up the tupelos. It was a tree we were using in that area. It wouldn't be great with all the salt and the environment down there, so we swapped those out for better trees in the region. And then the last note is Chick wanted to confirm that on the previous ZBA approval, we were not modifying any of those plantings or changing any of that. That has remained intact and moving ahead. So all of this gray area you can see here, as previously approved by your board, is to remain as approved, and we'll move ahead in that direction. So this is just a separate topic. All of that is unaffected by this proposed plan. And that's all the revisions that were requested.
And we have Chick's report, which is in favor of the restoration project. So, what is your pleasure, gentlemen? Close it for decision or pass it?
I think you need to just ask if there's any further comments.
Sorry, any further comments from either the board or the audience?
If not, you can close the hearing, and then we do have a special conditions for a wetland permit if you're inclined to grant that.
So what is your suggestion? Close it for decision?
Close it. Look, you have the special permit conditions
Okay,
that you could adopt this evening.
okay. So, is there a motion to...
That's, in other words, if we do that, that's the whole decision. Yeah.
Correct.
So there's no need, we're closing it right here, we're going to do the decision right now.
Done.
I move we accept that decision.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, everybody, and me. It passes.
Thanks, everyone.
I don't have a thing for this page.
I can only get things over.
Yeah, no kidding, right? White Street.
Moving on to the new, hold on a second, please. 303. Down here. Would you put that in 303, please?
303?
303. 308 does not have a sign-off sheet.
308?
Getting it.
I'll write approved on the, you can write approved on that.
308,
Oh, yeah, that goes in there. That's what we just did. You've got to write approved on there.
Here, grab a pen. Let me go 3009. Yeah, I never took mine out.
White Street here.
Right here.
Move to new cases. 78 White Street. Yeah.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Bruce Vetri. I'm the attorney for the applicant. I hand up my affidavit of posting. I'd also like to hand out to the board, if I may, some comparable signs that are in the area.
From,
And that goes with this one.
That goes in the file.
Oh.
I may have given you, I just meant to give you the comparable photos, but that's fine.
He was a lot.
the Southampton Police Department.
Yeah.
I got Ray Smith Associates just 5 times.
All right. Looking at these signs, I'd like to comment on the 80 White Street signs.
As you know, my client's property's at 78 White Street.
78.
78, yeah.
I
And
just don't want you to get too comfortable comparing the 80 White Street because I believe that this is not in compliance with the rules. I don't think they're allowed 3 signs. I'm just saying.
yeah, no, I thought that too, because it's a double-sided sign, and it seems awfully close to the road, but there's a sign across the street at the bank, right across the street, and that is the depicted here.
Do we see that too?
It's,
On the tables.
I have some with me, Jason, let's step up. I have Jason Argentari, who is the landscape architect for Ray Smith and Associates. But if you look at the,
Can you put it on the table?
Put it on the table, the camera will pick it up.
Yeah.
oh, okay, great.
Turn it. There you go.
And I believe I handed you all packets, but on the second page, the sign with the depiction 78 White Street, north side, double-sided ground sign for 243 Windmill Lane. That's the Bridgehampton National Bank. And that's directly across the street.
Right.
Mr. Ventry, can you describe the property, the size of the parcel, the location of the building, and exactly what variances you're seeking?
Yeah, I submitted a site plan in the packet, but the nature of the variance is the code requires for a sign of this nature to be 10 feet or more from the property line. It requires the building to be 40 feet back from the road or more. This building's 26 feet back. So we're asking a variance for allowing the sign with the building that's set 26 feet back from the road instead of 40 feet from the road.
And also the setback from the street?
It's the building setback 26 feet from the street instead of the required 40.
Right, and what's the setback for the sign?
29.7 feet.
29, it's even better for me, thank you. So it's 30 feet instead of 40 feet. Otherwise, we'd be allowed, but
And the required setback for the sign from the street line is what?
10 or more. So we're going to put it, we figure we'd put it 11 feet, just so it's within, the 11 feet from the street, from the property line in the front. So you're allowed 10 feet or more. So they would have actually...
Property is a lot in a subdivision? Or do any of the other lots have
It's not a
similar
lot.
conditions?
No, I don't believe it's a part of a lot in the subdivision that I'm aware of.
Well, your survey says it's parcel 3 in the minor subdivision of Eric Woodward.
I think it was a previous subdivision, it's private
That's
ownership.
what I'm talking about. It's a lot in a subdivision, correct?
I'll
And
take
all
your
I'm
word.
asking is on Lot 1 in that subdivision, or Lot 2 in that subdivision, or Lot 4, each of which are also commercial businesses, what are the conditions there, and do they have ground identification signs?
Well, I can tell you that previously there was a sign there, and I know of no such restrictions and prohibiting a sign other than the requirement from the village for this variance.
Which,
There was previously a sign, and if you look at the photo package...
this property,
On this property, yeah.
did that have a permit?
I don't know. I don't know. But it had been there for, right up until the time when my client bought the property, which was when?
This winter in January.
In January.
So in January, you got an up-to-date CO indicating what is all legal on the property?
Correct.
You have a copy of that?
I do not have a copy of the CO.
People who were there before, they moved out and they took their sign with them.
Correct.
That's why there's no sign there now.
That's right, that's right.
And this company that you represent is going to be the sole occupant?
Yes.
What was the size of the previous sign?
Same as what we're proposing.
Well, it looks like it could be wider, but narrower, and then it has another sign underneath it.
I don't have the dimensions of the sign that was there, but I
Right.
provide you with the dimensions of this sign, right? 3 feet by 8.
Two signs and one post.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the sign was parallel to the house, and yours is going to be perpendicular to the house?
No, ours would be a single-sided sign, the same way that one was. The same way the previous one was.
You would have the appendage and,
it's a little large, though.
don't have that one.
This one's airier.
No, that picture, that one. That one, that one.
And that's the previous sign.
That's my copy.
Yeah, I'm just going to look at it.
The current sign, it looks kind of big, but...
Is that one sign or is it two signs?
That?
Yeah, it looks like two signs.
It was
Well,
marked
that's-
with Fenelon Bank. I don't know, I can't really see what was underneath.
I'm sorry, I don't know which sign you're referring
We're
to.
talking to the previous occupant, it's sort of a double sign.
Yeah, that's not what we're asking for.
Yeah,
but
yours
that-
is a little more blocky, so it's a question of is it too big? I mean, the other one might, the previous one, square footage-wise, might be the same or more, but in that it's bifurcated, it is less bulky looking.
There are two of them. It was Markowitz, Fenelon and Banks, and the other one below, it says Raymond James. So I guess they were doing some
That's
sort of
right.
investment banking out of there.
Right.
And you're just going to have one.
That's right, that's the sole one sign we wish to put up, and we didn't see any other areas in the property where it was really feasible to put one. Couldn't put one on the house because it's blocked by the beautiful crepe myrtle that's there.
And it's basically in the same place.
Basically.
Yeah, so we're trying to replace one sign with a similar sign. I also provided some other comparables, and I don't know if you gentlemen had a chance to look at them, but there's also at 151 Windmill Lane, there's a double-sided ground sign.
What's the setback of that building?
That looks like it's set back far enough, but you know what? It looks like the sign's a little too close to the road, but it's the police department, so I don't know.
You
if they
go
have
tell
that.
them.
I couldn't give them a ticket, right? There's also one at 30 Jago Lane, double-sided ground sign. Well, we were just looking for a single-sided, but that is close to the road.
Well, the issue is not the setback or the sign, whether it's single or double-sided. The issue is the sign where the building is not set back 40 feet, right? The required
Well, yeah, I don't believe 30 Jago Lane is set.
So it would be interesting to see comparable conditions and whether or not all those signs are legal.
No, you're making a good point. I mean, just looking at the picture with 30 Jago Lane, I can tell by that's not set back 40 feet. But I don't know if any of these people have permits, but I'm just working under the assumption that, the signs in the town are, for the
Well, if
most
we're going
part,
to use
legal.
other examples, then we need to know exactly what the status of those examples are, that they're permitted, or they received variances, or they're pre-existing, and what the setback of the building is. For it to be a comparable condition, you would want to show that you have a building that's less than the 40 feet, and they have a ground identification sign,
6 feet tall.
is what you're
That's
asking
not 6
for.
feet.
Probably none of them.
Not the size or the
And this is gonna be
location of the
8 wide.
sign.
That's not 8 feet. It looks like it's probably
The
about-
question is whether you can have a sign or not.
I don't think that, I think if you do something like that, does the sign have to be the size? It looks like the sign that was there, it looks like it's a little bit more, less obtrusive.
Because there's air in between.
I mean, we would certainly tailor down the size of the sign, or,
Yeah, I mean, it's a residential street, unless,
yeah, no, I definitely understand. And, like the board, these gentlemen want to put up a nice sign that's an asset to the village.
it's a little bit business, I get it.
Right.
Like this sign is 3 foot by 8 foot. If it was 30 inches, 2 foot 6 by 6 foot, would that work?
This one's.
It wouldn't look so massive on the front.
Well, the thing that was there with Markowitz, Fenelon, and Bank, not that bad. But I mean, it appears that this thing is much larger.
Well, that's why I'm asking, if they made it just a little
Yeah,
couple
smaller.
feet shorter.
Like I said, it's a residential street, you don't want to,
Yeah, we would certainly accept it with that condition, either 3 by 7 or 2 by 6. And,
By 6, all right?
Yeah, that's all right.
2.5 by 6, is that what you said?
2.5 or 3 by 6,
that's not bad.
And what is it now? What am I looking
8
at?
foot by 6.
Yeah, that's kind of big.
I
So,
thought it was 3 by 8, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a 3 by 8.
3 by 8.
Yeah,
not-
so we're
not-
saying-
Well, the whole thing is 6 feet tall and 8 feet.
Okay, the sign itself,
Right,
yeah,
just get it closer to the ground, shrink it.
that's fine.
so 3 by 6 is what you're saying?
We would,
Okay.
it certainly help their business to be noticeable from the street. And
Okay, I think so.
You want to put a condition in there that they can apply for a use variance to make it a residence?
No. But what people seem to do is they sort of bootleg more signs underneath eventually in time.
That's why you want to get it close to the ground, right?
That's an interesting thought. Also, it shows off the building better, I think.
Yeah, it's a good-looking building.
Closer to the ground, 3 by 6. What do you think? Anybody?
that would be fine.
Or we could make a condition, no dangling signs off of the sign.
Oh, danglers.
I never thought I heard that.
And no danglers.
Okay. So, can you draw that up for us and come back?
Yes,
Closer to the ground, a little smaller.
3 by 6, okay, close to the
Right.
ground. Thank you.
Do you want to pursue your issues?
Yeah, first of all, I got a copy of 3 letters
Oh,
that were submitted to the board in opposition. I don't know if the board has read those or seen those. One of the letters
I didn't get it.
indicates that, according to their research, there's no freestanding signs that have permits on White Street. And it just goes back to the question of whether the previous sign here even had a permit. I would suggest that in addition to the comments you get from the board, to supply this board with the proper information is to go and check in the building department on those signs and your proposals. If you want us to believe these are comparables, you want to go and find out what their setting is as far as setback of the building and whether the signs have permits.
Okay.
well, hold it up.
I would have thought the bank sign, I'd be surprised if the bank didn't get a permit, but
Well, I'm not sure we should burden this person to do our work.
I know.
Burdens on them to get,
Well, we don't need the comps.
no, we don't. But if
We're
they're going to
looking at this-
present them, they should be comparable.
Well, maybe they'd like to withdraw them.
I'll withdraw the comps then if that would be fine.
Yeah, it's fine, right?
There's always been a sign there before with Markowitz, so. I mean, but this is what you get when you put businesses on a residential street.
Under the code, they're entitled to a sign on the building.
Right.
When the building's not 40 feet from the street.
No, and I agree, and that was my only issue with granting the use variance for the residents and putting it next to a business. You get this, people are going to...
I think this smaller sign here rather than on the building is better than putting it on the building.
I mean, the point is well taken that maybe there's no permits and these people are in violation, but that's an enforcement issue.
Actually, code enforcement is pretty strict.
Not their problem, no?
I don't think so.
No, but they were using them as examples of what the character of the area is and why they should be given the same situation.
They do show the
I'm
character.
just saying, from the look of it, does show the character of the neighborhood.
They do, whether they're allowed or not.
But you can't use something that's illegal as a comment.
Have been for a long time.
Right.
In some cases.
I mean, they asked,
We're establishing the character.
You are withdrawing these comps, and
I'll withdraw those comps.
we are not to pay any attention to them.
You're the chairman.
Part of the record.
Part of the record? Part of the record, so be it. I don't think they should be burdened to do village's work.
Thank you. So would you like, should I resubmit this
Resubmit the plans, please.
3x6 sign closer to the ground?
Any comment from the audience? Can we have a motion to adjourn for all purposes then?
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Throw this away.
They're coming back, right, or not?
They're coming back.
Yeah, they're coming back to get a single sign.
Thank you.
All right.
I think we need a field trip for this one.
Yeah.
All right, let me get the file out. Hold on. There are copies for everybody. Okay.
This. The top one is yours.
Thank you.
Yours. Need another one?
I'll take one and pass them down, that's how we do that.
Okay. Do you have one?
I have one.
Did you get a two? And you got, should be three then.
Is that enough of these?
Yep,
I can share it.
there's one for Mr. Bruin, this, in total of 6.
Have one of
There's
these.
the official one that has
Okay,
the
why don't
affidavits in
you,
it.
Danny, take this one down, Kevin and I will share.
Yeah.
So if you're missing one.
Shall I?
You have one.
Good evening,
Okay,
Mr.
that's
Chairman,
it.
members of the board. Keith Brown, Brown and Alton LLP, 538 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 301, Melville, New York, 11747. I'm here tonight with respect to McDonald USA LLC's application for variance and special use permit approval in connection with the renovation of its existing McDonald's restaurant and conversion of the tandem drive-through into a side-by-side drive-through at the property. Prior to today's hearing, a hearing notice was sent by certified mail to all owners of properties within a radius of 200 feet in compliance with the village code. In addition, prior to tonight's hearing, hearing notice was posted on the property in compliance with the code. Original affidavits of mailing and posting on forms provided by the board were executed today and submitted to the clerk. At this time, I've just recently submitted the original affidavits as well as copies of all the documents we'll be relying upon during our presentation here tonight. The property is presently improved with the McDonald's restaurant. Village records indicate that the property has been improved with that restaurant since circa 1970. As such, the fast food restaurant use has been operated at the property for approximately 48 years. As you're aware, the property is zoned highway business and is currently developed with a McDonald's restaurant and associated parking facilities, and is permitted as of right. In 1973, the village amended its code to require a front yard setback of 100 feet. Thus, the building, which existed at the time, became a non-conforming building, and any alterations to the building would require a front yard variance. The existing building is 2,380 square feet. The applicant proposes to convert the existing tandem drive-through into a side-by-side drive-through and add 2 small bump outs at the rear of the building, totaling 287 square feet, to provide additional kitchen and storage space. It should be noted that no additional seating is being proposed. In fact, the overall amount of seating is decreasing from 55 seats to 45 seats. By way of context, the subject property is bounded on the east by North Sea Road. At the north, west, and southern lot lines of the property is bounded by other commercial uses, including Southampton Tire Center, People's United Bank, and Hampton Center for Rehabilitation and Nursing. The uses of the neighboring parcels are in harmony with the historic use of the property as a fast food restaurant, together with a modified drive-through and expanded footprint. Respectfully, the subject property fits well with its neighboring uses and has done so for more than 48 years. What McDonald's is proposing is a substantial improvement to what presently exists from both an aesthetic and traffic perspective. Pursuant to this board's December 16, 1999 approval, McDonald's is required to file a variance special use permit application with the Zoning Board of Appeals to slightly expand the building footprint, as previously discussed, and convert the tandem drive-through to a side-by-side. As a condition of the 1999 variance, this board imposed certain restrictions on the McDonald's development and use. Among other restrictions, the 1999 variance provides that 1, there will be no further enlargement of the restaurant building without further approval from the ZBA. And 2, the site improvements designed to significantly improve vehicular traffic flow, circulation, and parking shall not be substantially altered in the future without approval from the ZBA. Today, McDonald's proposes to convert the existing tandem drive-through and side-by-side drive-through to improve the ease of which patrons will come into the property and access the drive-through lane, and also to subside any potential of vehicles spilling out onto North Sea Road during peak business hours. This will be discussed further by McDonald's traffic engineer, Mr. Paul Going of Atlantic Traffic and Design. McDonald's is also proposing to expand the footprint of the restaurant with 2 bump outs, as I explained, 10 feet by 15 feet and about 12.86 by 12.69 addition, each to the rear corners of the building. The additions will total 287 square feet approximately. As noted in the 1999 variance approval, it is this board's position that a variance for the expansion of a non-conforming use exceeding 50% of the original floor area may be granted pursuant to the board's general variance authority under certain circumstances, such as a reduction in the number of dining room seats. Moreover, as depicted in the site plan drawings prepared by Core States, this expansion of the rear building will not encroach upon or have any appreciable impact on the adjacent property's traffic flow or site circulation. Most importantly, it should be noted that McDonald's expansion, as proposed, will only constitute an increase of total lot coverage from 6% to 7%, where 30% is permissible for a non-conforming development. As part of the redevelopment, McDonald's will also update the landscaping both at the front and the rear of the property. Finally, while the proposed improvements will reduce the number of parking spaces, the site still contains parking that exceeds that required by the village by providing 45 spaces where 36 are required, which is 9 over the village code requirement. As Mr. Going will testify, the on-site parking is more than sufficient for the use, and indeed, the new drive-through configuration is anticipated to further reduce the demand for on-site parking. In sum, Mr. Going will substantiate that the instant application will not adversely affect the traffic flow, circulation, or parking, and therefore cannot be deemed a, quote, substantial alteration. Now, in addition to Mr. Going, we have Mr. Alan Roscoe of Core States Group. Mr. Roscoe is here to explain the site plan and the proposed changes. So at this time, I'd like to call Mr. Roscoe. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Good evening, folks. Alan Roscoe from Core States Group. I'm the Northeast Regional Civil Engineering Manager for this remodel program, which is going on here in Long Island, upstate New York, New Jersey, and Southern Connecticut. So this is part of that remodel program here in Southampton. There are really two drivers to this. It's a modernization of the brand, and it's also ADA compliance driven. So if you don't mind, I'll take 1 minute or less than and describe the program, and then we'll go into how that program relates to this site. So again, the two main elements, ADA compliance and a modernization. We've changed the color palette for McDonald's. If you've seen any that were recently remodeled, you'll get a feel for the neutral color palette that McDonald's is going with in this program. They're grays and taupes and very neutral colors, as most of the franchise fast food operations are going with. Thank you. Yep, the last page. Now the version on the table is true color. I apologize for the color quality of the handouts. But this is the true color representation of how the remodel will look. So again, modernization of the brand, and the goal of this program is to sort of reduce the color impact. So the yellows and the reds are gone. Again, very neutral color palette. Much more muted signage package as well. The building mounted signage area is actually reduced from what's there now typically. And then again, ADA compliance. We start on the inside and renovate the interior, starting with the bathrooms, and work our way through the interiors. The changes in the ADA code are driving this change. Typically in this program, the dining room finishes and upgrades to the furnishings in the dining room, tables and chairs are upgraded as well. The counter has changed, and then we carry that improvement to the outside where it's a total remodel. So every portion of the exterior will be redone. This is a hardy plank exterior for the most part with a half gable. So we maintain that colonial feel that we have in this community. It's atypical for the program, I will tell you that. Typically, there's a much more modern look to the other restaurants that we're doing in this region. And again, we carry that ADA compliance to the exterior. So we attempt where we can to provide access to sidewalks in the public right-of-way, and then make the improvements to the ADA parking and ADA pathways. So that is, in a nutshell, the program. And then again, we have applied that to this site here. Neutral color palette, and the changes that we make to the drive-through, enhance stacking. It enhances the customer experience, and we get a little bit more efficiency out of the drive-throughs. Typically with a side-by-side, you can see, and they've got data to support this, is you can get about a 40 to 50% increase on your capacity with just one standard ordering point. With a tandem, it's a little bit different. So we're not going to see the efficiency increase that we would get if it was just one order point. But you can see probably a 25% or so increase in peak hour capacity at the drive-through. Even though we have the two order points, we don't double up on the capacity. But again, we have the increased stacking, and that is obviously a benefit. And we still provide as much parking as we need and comply with the local requirements, and provide the safety improvements with new ADA pathways, new striping, new pavement markings, and things of that nature. We try to leave the site better than when we started with it. We do have limitations, but if there's something broken, we fix it. Before we leave, we maintain any of the systems, the sewer systems, the drainage. The drainage system needs to be addressed, which was one of the comments in an earlier engineering review. We will evacuate the water and take care of any accumulated debris to make sure that the drainage system functions as it should before we leave. If there's a broken light standard, we'll replace it. But typically, we try to limit this to a remodel project rather than a total reconstruction. So that's our proposal in a nutshell.
So now you order at the west side of the building, and you pick up and pay at the south side.
The pickup and paying will be just about exactly where it is now.
So they'll still be on the south side.
We have a small addition on the kitchen end, which is an optimization that McDonald's has asked us to do to increase the separation so there's an even number of cars between the pickup and the pay window.
You can order in the back, 2 places, but you
Correct.
can only pick up and pay at 1 place.
That's right.
But you're stretching the distance between the windows, between where you pay and where you pick up your food?
Maybe it'd be helpful for you.
So there's a pickup,
Describe
there's a pay, and then there's a pickup.
Correct.
2 windows.
These dark brown elements here are our additions. So this is the drive-through side. So this is an expansion to the kitchen area. So this is the pay point, and the pickup point is exactly the same position.
And now, the pay point is where now? Exists now?
Is in this
Yeah,
not the same
so
spot.
you're able to get an
stretching
extra
it,
car
right.
in
So,
the...
exactly. We're trying to even out the number of cars between the windows.
Right, and then you said that there were a certain amount of parking spaces now, and it's going to be less. How many less?
There is a reduction.
Mr. Going is going to cover that.
Yeah,
They'll tell us
there's a
that?
reduction of 6 spaces, but it still complies.
Excuse me?
It still complies.
I know, I just
Yeah.
want to know the numbers.
Right.
6.
They're going to get rid of 6?
51 to
But 6,
45.
right?
Okay, that's what I want, okay.
So the benefit of the side-by-side is we've got dual order points, and so we can stack a few more cars out here on what we call the secondary lane, and that pulls cars off of the right-of-way. So we're more efficient, and we have more queuing. We have more cars that might not be on the roadway.
Back up to the North Sea Road at noontime.
Just a couple of additional points that Mr. Roscoe mentioned. We did submit the plans to Nelson Pope and Voorhees. We did get comments back from Chick and Kathy. The plans were revised following those comments. And the other thing I just wanted to mention.
When was that? Recently?
Before
August?
we went to a planning board for pre-approval.
Okay. Did they issue a report of any sort?
They did. They did.
Want to provide us with a copy?
Yeah. Okay. I'll just see if I should have it in my file.
And what were the Americans with Disability Act improvements? You said that this is going to be more compliant.
Exactly, right.
What did you do to make it more
Well,
compliant?
Yeah, the internal elements, we have on our floor plan, but with the changes in the code, almost all the restrooms are non-compliant. So those get renovated, and we bring that to the outside, and as a result of our survey, we found that some of the sidewalks and some of the slopes on the ADA parking spots were non-compliant. So we'll be correcting that, resurfacing the sidewalks with concrete, and then we're going to extend the sidewalk out in the right-of-way here, so that we'll have increased accessibility. And then the ADA spaces out front here, which are denoted with our blue squares here, those will be surfaced with concrete, so we have better constructability and control over the slopes and grades so that they will be compliant. But we're reconstructing them almost in the same position that they're in, with some very minor changes. And then the other benefit to the side-by-side is that we typically end up with more pervious area. I think you can see with the green area that we've highlighted here in the rear of the building and then between the 2 order points, that'll all be landscaped, and we do end up with a net increase in pervious area.
But I have a copy of the comments, though, Mr. Bruin, they're addressed to Mr. McFarland, so that's why I didn't have a copy with me.
That's fine.
And the other thing, too, is specifically related to architecture, even though it's not specifically within this board's purview, I'm aware, and my experience in this village is such that we did provide Core States and SWA, who is the project architect, with photographs of other businesses along the highway business zoning district on North Sea Road. And the resulting architecture comes from the fact that those examples, they tried to basically impose some of those architectural features into what you see before you tonight. So things such as the post office and some of the other buildings that are in the village on North Street Road were incorporated into the architecture. So again, it's something that we'll bring up when we go back in front of the planning board. So with that.
Is there a floor plan showing how the new changes?
Yes.
Which sheet is that?
A10 should be, the architectural should be on the back end of that second row. Unless you just have the site plan.
I just have C's.
C's.
Yeah, that's the civils, sorry. This is a copy of the floor plan that we've put forth. It shows the additions here on the rear. And again, this is the pay window, just to maximize the distance between the two windows in the drive-through lane. And then the other addition here is to expand the dining area and enhance the customer experience. But again, we're reducing the number of seats interior. So
wait, the addition on the northwest, this says proposed freezer cooler addition?
the existing freezer cooler is right here, and that's to remain.
Right. But I'm looking at C4.1.
Yeah, that was addressed in the engineer's comments. That label was revised from the copy you have, I think.
Okay, so you're going to correct that for us. So what is going to happen in that space? It's not a freezer?
This corner here?
Northwest corner.
Yep. Yeah, that's the kitchen addition.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm just
So-
telling you, is the plans that were submitted to us say proposed freezer cooler addition? Is that what it's going to be?
That's been revised per comments, yes.
Okay, so you'll get us those revised plans?
Yes.
And you're saying some seating was eliminated. Can you show us where internal seating was eliminated?
I don't have the existing floor plan with me. I just have the proposed, but we've done the seat counts and provided the comparison in our write-up.
Okay, but net, you're hoping for a 25% increase in capacity in the takeout. Is that correct?
Roughly, yeah, between the tandem to the side-by-side and with the modernization and the changes that we're making to the floor.
So will you be closing down for a period of time during the renovation?
Yes, yeah, we try to stay open where we can. In this case, there's no kitchen work, so the drive-through can stay open as long as, the construction crews aren't in the way. There is usually a total close down. It varies from store to store, but it's anywhere from 10 days to 3 weeks. It all depends on the location and the extent of the work. In this case, I would expect that it would be fairly on the long side because we have, some major site improvements to the back that will take a bit to put together. But if we can leave the lobby open while the drive-through is being updated, and conversely, hopefully we can leave the drive-through open if we're doing interior work. But there will be a full close down for a short duration.
Will you wait for that full close down until Burger King is back up?
No, absolutely not. We'll fight that condition, won't we?
You mentioned some enhanced landscaping at the entryway, I think. Could you just run by that?
Yeah, this new sidewalk will run through the area that's presently landscaped, so we'll be bisecting that, but we'll maintain it where we can, and then provide enhancements. And then the area behind, we'll be able to provide some enhanced landscaping in there.
Is there any plantings going in the front that are being added?
Yes, we'll retain what we can and then add to it to restore the appearance. And we'll provide fresh landscaping here in the side-by-side. And if there's anything that's not doing well or has been damaged during the snow removal operations, those will be replaced in kind.
Any other questions for this gentleman?
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call Paul Cohen from Atlantic Traffic.
Hi, my name's Paul Going. It's spelled G-O-I-N-G, just like the word going. I work for Atlantic Traffic and Design Engineers, located at 2929 Expressway Drive North in Hoppock. So I'm going to go through some numbers first and then talk a little bit more about how the drive-through operates. We observe site traffic at this restaurant on Thursday, September 20th and Saturday, September 22nd. And we knew that this was a busy restaurant, and you may have heard from other traffic engineers or on other projects use of ITE or published data to calculate the number of trips in the proposed condition. In this case, we based the proposed condition on the existing actual demand we observed, and based on that, we project an increase by up to 44 peak hour trips. That's a trip in and out, which is essentially 22 customers. In the highest hour, which we found to be the lunch period from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. An increase of 100 peak hour trips is not considered significant by the Institute of Transportation Engineers, or the ITE, or New York State DOT. So that increase by 44 trips is not considered significant, and therefore it can be concluded that the project will not result in a significant negative impact on traffic. As previously stated, the parking is being reduced by 6 stalls. It's currently 12 stalls over what's required. The restaurant's being reduced by 10 seats, so it's the requirement's going down by 3, so will net still be 9 stalls over the requirement. So the drive-through, is a survey in here?
I have
Thanks. Thank you. So I just wanted to refer to the survey to take you through the existing conditions. In the existing conditions, there's 2 menu boards. There's a menu board here behind the building and a second menu board a little bit further forward. So what happens is customers who want to use the drive-through pull in, they get in line, and 2 customers in 2 separate cars can make orders at the same time. McDonald's did this tandem layout originally because what they found is the ordering is the pinch point in the process. The payment takes about 30 seconds. Picking up your food takes about 30 seconds. The ordering takes about a minute. So by taking 2 orders at once, they can serve customers better by getting them through that ordering pinch point. So in recent years, drive-through demand at McDonald's restaurants has increased. Probably 10 years ago, it was typically 50% of the business. Now it's closer to 65 or 70%. So more people are using the drive-through, and McDonald's, to stay competitive in the industry, is also offering more menu choices. So the ordering has become more complicated. In the proposed condition, the proposed drive-through has all the same elements: 2 menu boards, a pay window, and a pickup window. But the 2 menu boards are side by side. That allows one menu board to potentially take several orders, while one complicated or large order is being taken at the other menu board. So if you've got a van with mom and the kids from soccer, and they're all screaming out what they want and taking up a lot of time at one menu board, somebody who's just coming in for a coffee or a sandwich can get through the other menu board. And that's really how it operates better, reduces queuing, and by virtue of its just geometric layout, stacks more cars in the space behind the restaurant. So that reduces the possibility of cars queuing back out onto the street, and it's a safety improvement.
What's the number of additional queuing? What's the number of additional?
In the existing condition, you could queue up 15 cars before you get back out onto North Sea Road. In the proposed condition, that's increased to 19. When we observed the site recently in September, we did not see the queue exceeding 12 cars. But we understand anecdotally that it is a busy location.
What's the status of the 50% rule here?
Which road?
50% rule,
Mr. Brown's question.
expanding a non-conforming building.
As I stated in my testimony, sir, the previous 1999 grant increased it to 58%. We're just going slightly above that because it's only 287 square
In
feet.
other words, you're already beyond it.
Yes,
You're going to go a little bit more beyond it.
right. And if you read the decision, the 99 board was very specific that as long as the alteration did not substantially alter and adversely impact, the surrounding uses. And I don't believe, for the reasons I stated, that it could be said that would occur.
It's the same board, by the way.
Same board, not the same membership, right?
It's the same membership. Yeah. Pretty much.
Not me.
That's what I mean by the
You were
same
18
board.
at the time? You were 18 at the time.
I was 15, I think.
So, Mr. Brown, while we are on that matter, I was not here, so you need to help me. I've read the decision from 1999, which this board rendered, and I'm a little confused with some of the facts that maybe were set forth in the traffic report as well. And help me understand, and you'll provide us with floor plans and both existing and proposed that might help that.
Certainly.
Because specific conditions where there be no increase in the seating capacity indoors, and that seating capacity would not exceed 86 seats without approval of the zoning board. So either there's your traffic report is referencing 93 seats. So I wonder what is there and what are we changing and what are we basing our parking and analysis on? In addition, it says all existing outdoor seating shall be eliminated except for 16 seats as specifically shown on the site plan. So again, traffic reports indicates 38 outdoor seats. So we got to get the baseline here, or what is actually allowed.
Sure.
And what you're changing it from and to, just to make sure we have the right traffic analysis as well.
Understood. And I will say, having read the decision about 4 or 5 times, it is very confusing because during the process of that 99 application, the application was refined and amended several times. So when you read it, they go through the different
I'm looking
variations.
just at the conditions, the end result. So I did follow what you're saying there, but it appears in 1999 it was an expansion from 66 seats to 86 seats.
Right.
And that's what you have now, right? Or 93? I don't know what you have exactly, but...
So we'll be happy to provide the...
So the question really is you're changing from 86 indoor seats and 16 outdoor seats to something less.
Correct.
So you don't have an as-built plan of what's there now?
Well, there's a survey, but
This is a survey, but what Mr. Bruin is asking for is the
Yeah,
indoor
but
dining.
as-built
floor plan.
shows the 83 seats.
Right.
And then we can compare that to the new as-built, which should show 6 seats less.
Correct.
So we'd like to see that.
Yep.
yeah,
I'll be happy to provide it.
Mr. Going's letter actually in the fourth paragraph says the number of indoor seats will be reduced from 55 to 45. So I'm a little confused what that's talking about.
Okay. We'll be happy to provide that.
So just to answer Mr. Guerra's point is the board did discuss at length the 50% rule and indicated that for a number of reasons, and you would use your inherent variance power, which requires greater scrutiny to exceed that 50%. You didn't limit any future expansions except for that there would be no further enlargement without permission from this board. One of the findings you made significantly back then were what were the expansions and the changes. And there were some additions that the board recognized, such as modifying or expanding bathrooms. So in this case, you have two areas that are being expanded. One is kitchen area and the other is back, I'm assuming also kitchen area. It's not a freezer. We need that clarified.
Right.
But it doesn't seem like you're increasing seating capacity, you're actually reducing the seating capacity.
That's right.
Somehow. So we need to see how that plan works.
Sure.
And these comments from Nelson Pope and Voorhees are based on this set of plans that are here?
The plans that you're looking at, correct?
So we'll supply this to the board so you can understand. Otherwise, I was going to suggest that we get something to Nelson Pope and Voorhees to help you understand and review particularly the traffic aspects.
I have something I'd like to bring up. How does this benefit the community?
Well, in many instances, as you heard, it makes the restaurant come into compliance with the American with Disabilities Act. Number two, it resolves some of the issues that are occurring with the drive-through in terms of allowing more vehicles to stack in the queuing lanes and have a little more buffer in terms of spillage out in North Sea Road. Adding additional 4 cars to the queue. And then just overall making the site more modernized and more efficient in terms of its own operations will help the viability of it so that the restaurant could
And
stay.
you were decreasing your signage, right? Your signage is decreasing.
Yeah, if you notice from the elevations, that's what's there, yes. And also, it's going to be greatly enhanced by the new architecture than what is there now, which dates back to the late 70s, early 80s, and it's kind of that garish, mansard look. So I think overall, it'll help improve the entire surroundings by giving the site a shot in the arm with a major capital infusion, as well as the landscaping improvements.
Did you say something earlier about examining the drainage questions? Because
Yeah,
there's been a lot of drainage issues there.
I know historically there was drainage issues there, but I'm not aware of
If it's been
anything
resolved.
currently going on. That was brought up back with my first meeting with the building superintendent, but he even acknowledged at the time that I know that there was a problem here, but it's been resolved. So,
Okay, thank you. I have something on that.
I do have one question for the traffic expert.
Sure.
And just because you're doing these projects, throughout an extensive area, when you're going up North Sea Road, you have traffic that's entering, your facility that's literally cutting across, southbound traffic. Is that something you typically see? I see it as somewhat dangerous at times that you're.
That's typical for this type of road.
So, and you're increasing the number of people who are going to be going in and out of there. So my concern is those people who are, coming off of County Road 39 and they zip around there and they head south, okay, and then you have traffic going up North Sea Road who are going to be literally cutting across 2 or 3 lanes. What's your opinion of that scenario there?
That's really pretty typical. McDonald's is a convenience use. It only makes sense to locate it in a location where people are.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a road that you'd typically find a McDonald's on, a land service highway with multiple lanes.
Now, you said that you observed the site just on 2 Saturdays in September, and that was it?
It was a Thursday and a Saturday.
Okay, but that's the only 2 days that you observed the,
That's correct.
so,
That's what we typically do in my industry.
After Labor Day, though.
yeah, that's what I wonder.
If it was after Labor Day, you might see more if you did it August.
You're
26th and 28th.
correct. And like I said, we saw a maximum of 12 vehicles in the queue for the drive-through, and we do understand that there may be more at times. The date we selected had to do with really when we started working on this particular project, and school being in session is when we typically count, and also the Jewish holidays, we were trying to avoid those.
Okay, gentlemen, what are those?
Exhibits?
In their latest configuration, they are litter. And I'm sure
Right.
we have a problem in the village with litter on certain thoroughfares. I have cleaned up West Prospect Street a few times myself, and I won't say it's number one, as studies around the world have shown, but there's a significant amount of McDonald's litter. There's a man in the city, Mike Ferrin, who cleans up Hill Street for years. He tells me a significant amount of the trash is McDonald's litter. So if we're increasing the takeout department, it seems to make sense that we'll be increasing the litter. The people that stay in the building are not going to throw the litter. We have particular problems in that we have inflow and outflow of a lot of workers who don't live here usually. They're hurried, harried, and they probably use McDonald's, and sometimes the air conditioning doesn't work. They throw the stuff out the window. So I would like to know, I've seen it in Europe, I haven't seen it in America, that McDonald's comes up with litter plans for communities. For myself, what I would like to see, and I will not vote for this probably if I don't see this, is signs at the cash window and signs at the pickup window in English and Spanish, asking your customers to respect our community with respect to litter.
At the very least, Mr. Chairman, it's something, I will go back to them and I will talk to them, and I'm sure it's something we could work out.
Okay, that would be nice.
No problem.
And it's true that McDonald's, of course, is not the only malactor in this process. That maybe this, if you could do that, we will propel a movement here to clean up some other people's stuff that gets thrown around.
Understood.
Thank you.
And it might make a sense that as people drive out, you have outside litter stations. Or,
Yes.
maybe look at that, maybe that the position, or I know that they're not very visible sometimes. You don't really.
Full a lot.
Well, they haven't eaten anything yet, then I have nothing to throw away.
No, but I mean, people that park there, if they see it and it's more, more apt to use it.
Yeah. Understood.
Or make it easier for them to use.
And bilingual, please, if you can get those signs.
Yes.
Any other language we need to add? English. Or Polish?
Polish.
Sign language for the drive-through? Braille?
Okay, quickly, gentlemen.
What else do we want?
So, have we outlined what we want?
Anybody from the public wants to speak?
Anybody in the public want to speak? Yes, sir.
He's very vocal lately, you know that?
Huh?
He's very vocal lately.
Starring in his own movie here. What is this?
I don't normally get up to speak about these things, but I have been a customer of McDonald's in the past, and I'm sure all of you have been.
Charlie, could you just state your name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry. Charles Styler, I'm the video guy in the back of the room. But I'm not opposed to what they're suggesting here. The only thing that I found was in going through this drive-through, which is the way I actually pick up food occasionally at McDonald's, I have one little problem. If you look at this point right here, I have been sitting here and find that pedestrians walk out here trying to go to their vehicles on this side over here, and there doesn't seem to be any way of knowing when they're going to jump out in front of you. I think it's kind of a little dangerous situation, and I was just wondering if it's possible that maybe they could either put a sign up there or put a crosswalk in there so that people would realize that pedestrians would be coming out from the building here. This side doesn't matter, because as you're driving in, you can see them well before you would ever get to them. But on this side, they come out quickly, and sometimes if the front of your vehicle, like I use a pickup truck, would be sticking way out here. So I'm not really opposing their project. All I'm doing is making a suggestion that maybe with the goodness of their hearts, they could consider putting a sign or something like that that will notify people that be careful, pedestrians could be coming out, and that's all.
Absolutely.
Bilingual?
Bilingual. It's something we'll absolutely look into. I was just talking with the project engineer and said we could come up with something.
So,
Other signage or striping.
so we all know what we need?
Yes, sir.
Anybody out, from the audience want to speak? Okay. Can we have a motion to adjourn for all purposes?
I move we adjourn for all purposes. Second.
All in favor? Yes. Potato field.
Thank you.
Bill?
You want an agenda? Put this one. Yeah, we're done, so.
I'm surprised they said they'd do that. McDonald's. See, it's the ad. How are you?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, case number 3011, Emanuele Santomauro, close, 229 Potato Field Lane. For the applicant?
No, I'm the agent, builder, John DiStefano, Best Modular. Don't know if anybody's had a chance to review this yet.
Why don't you explain it to us and how it came about?
Okay. We put the house in, and we were going to build it without a porch until the south sun decided to come through those front windows. So they're looking to do a relatively small porch, 6 feet out, with a 512 to match the roof that is there, and to cut down on the solar festration coming through the front windows. Plus, it would look very, very nice aesthetically The house across the street, in fact, both houses across the street have similar porches, basically the same, and they're looking for, I think, relatively minor relief on it.
What's the status of the house? The survey you submitted says proposed.
What is the status of it now, Wayne?
Yeah.
It's built.
Is there an as-built survey anywhere?
No, but it's right on the money on what it said for proposed.
Well,
Don't you need one for the health department?
Yes,
CO?
but the health department wants everything on the survey for their final, and I didn't want to myself. I mean, I just thought it was to do it twice to submit to the health department. We've already brought the clean out past the porch area, so that would not interfere, just for when it does get approved, then we get to build it. So everything will go through the Board of Health. But we certainly can do, if you're requesting, we can do an as-built.
Well, I just want to make sure your setbacks comply and what your setback will be.
Yep.
according to the survey you submitted, the house was set 40 feet 1 inch from the property line. I guess the front yard setback's 40 feet here. So you didn't allow any room at all for any kind of porch or steps or roof over the front door or anything.
There was a pool in the backyard.
It's a two-story house.
Go ahead, Dan, I'm sorry.
I said it's a tall house.
Yes.
So, I mean, you could have set the house back 4 or 5 feet farther and had as much room as you wanted for the porch because you really had like an empty lot, correct?
No, there was a pre-existing house there, and the pool, we left the original pool in place, so we didn't have much room to work with going to the rear.
So this survey, again, just shows a proposed pool.
Okay.
Doesn't show an
I'll have the
existing
survey
pool.
redone, and that'll make it more clear, but we left the original pool in place.
Yeah, this survey, it all looks like it was a vacant lot and everything was proposed.
Okay.
But it seems like where the house is, proposed house and the pool, there's 20-some odd feet in between. The house had plenty of room to move back farther so that you wouldn't have had to need a 6-foot porch in the front. Or variance for it, yeah.
For granted, it was an afterthought, Dan, yes.
What?
For granted, yes, it was an afterthought.
And then the house has 2 front doors. So then they have a porch, then a big porch. So it goes like from the left all the way to the whole width of the whole front of the house. Why is there 2 front doors? And then why, do you really need a
There's one
porch
that
over
goes
both of
in,
them?
they have one that goes into the half bath and the laundry area, which is there, and the other one is the actual front door entry to the house, which goes to the main steps, which goes up.
So you have a front door that goes to the laundry area?
It does go into the laundry area and the service bath that's there, yes.
So you really don't need that door? I mean, who goes to the laundry room through a front door?
Dan, I'm not the
I don't
designer
know.
or the architect. I mean, it went to ARB, they looked at it, there was no comments on that.
Yeah, but now you want variance to put a porch over it, so.
Yes. I will get the survey redone and bring it in, which will show,
You said you kept the existing pool.
yes.
Is it located where the proposed pool was?
Yes.
Or is it closer to the house?
No, everything is exactly where it was.
The proposed pool. What about the shed in the back, by the way?
We took one out, we kept one.
Well, it's right on,
Two on site,
it's right on the line.
okay.
It shouldn't be there, I guess.
If you'd like it moved, we certainly could.
I think it has to be unless you want to apply for a variance for it.
Looks like they could move that.
I don't know what the setback would be,
What's the
so.
minimum you would need for steps and porch over the front door?
Pardon me?
What would be the minimum that you would need for steps and porch over the front door?
I would think 6 feet, 4 is cutting it really close. I mean, what can you do on 4 feet? You could put a chair.
Well, I'm just looking
couple
for
chairs.
that you can get in the house without snow or rainfall on your head over the door, which is usually about 3 feet, and then the steps down. I'd like to see that alternative.
Okay.
just over the front door.
But we assumed, when we were talking before, we thought it was for ingress and egress. What he's suggesting is that it's for shade.
I know, but if you wanted something for the shade, they should have moved the house back. Now, it's not,
I'm just saying.
if the house is already right on the property line.
There's
He's going to have to have
other
a variance
solutions
just
for
whatever
shade
he puts
as
there.
well.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
When
the
we
shutters.
met, we thought it was for ingress and egress. It seems like the purpose of this porch is really for the overhang, for the shade.
Yes, we're looking to cut down on solar frustration coming through the front windows, because it beats in coming on that south side. It's right there.
Well, it would do it for 4 windows, but it doesn't do anything for the second floor windows. It would just be for those.
No, we're going to have to put some type of reflective shield on the window. We didn't realize it in the
First
beginning.
floor and not have the big porch.
Personally, I didn't think it was that much of a, asking a lot for what they're looking for. Yes, could it have been done differently? Yeah, I do agree. Yes, it could have. But figured we'd run it up the flagpole, and the houses in the area do have them, although we are encroaching in on our front yard, yes.
But you're asking us to correct an oversight that you made, or that you didn't consider. So what you really need is you need a porch over the front door with steps. Right now, there's no steps at all.
Right.
The house as it stands is kind of stark.
I don't know if you, steps aren't counted in setbacks, correct?
No.
So they can put
It
steps
needs
there.
something.
Yeah.
If they want to put a roof over it, they're going to have to,
Correct, it's the
so
porch.
how much roof is the question?
I thought
How would it
aesthetic.
look if there's just something in front of the front door, the main front door?
Yeah, that's why I asked them to show us something.
Yeah.
The porch is 354 square feet.
Yes,
How wide
approximately.
is it and how long is it?
How wide?
5 foot 4
So
inches?
60 feet long, 59 feet long by 6 feet out.
Right, we're not going for the full length of the house.
59 by 6?
59. 6 by
I
50.
see the 59, I didn't see the 6.
We're not going for the full length of the house. The garage is out of it.
I just think that it needs something.
Yeah, I think a porch, some steps and a roof over the front door, but a 60-foot long porch that's all non-conforming, and the house is already right on the line, I think is, and they didn't have to, they could have considered that.
And they wouldn't be here then.
The stonework in the back is
Who
immense.
oversights the
It's
front
immense.
porch?
The lots across the street, the houses across the street have large front yards, which this would not conform to.
They also have front porches on their houses, too.
Yeah, but
they meet the
it's way
setback.
back.
I understand.
The greenery is way, way back.
Well, it would be 35 feet rather than, 34 feet rather than 40 feet.
And then a 6-foot porch, then you're going to have chairs and activities and everything else.
That's what a porch is for, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
for
in a
tires.
non-conforming area. I mean, you need a porch, to me, you need the porch to cover the front door so you, snow and ice, you can get in and out of your house, you know, but
Well, it might look weird.
Plus,
I don't think it's a big deal, really.
I think aesthetically, it would look much nicer with the full front porch. And how much time are you going to spend out there? Sit in a chair or like a...
Part of the house now is very stark, very bad.
Yes, sir.
It needs something.
Oh, we'll draw a couple options on it, and I'll figure out with the survey how far the shed has got to come forward in the rear to bring that into conforming. It's merely lifting it up with the forklift and moving it, so it's not a big thing.
yeah.
All right, and then we'll come and bring it back.
Is there a basement?
Pardon me, a full basement, yes.
Is there a full basement?
John, what's the bump out in the back?
The bump out in the back is just a small room, which the lower section of it is a dining room. So she can sit in that room and look down lengthwise at the pool to keep an eye on the children if she's doing her work at home. He's a doctor, she's a clinical nurse. And the children are not playing, she wants to be able to see them there.
This says existing, 8-foot, it's an 8-foot basement?
Yes. we actually tried to set the new house on the existing foundation, but it was off by a foot. It wasn't square. So we couldn't do it. We had to take the old one out and put a new one in.
So John, you're going to move the shed, then get the survey updated,
Yes, sir?
show the shed in a conforming location,
Okay.
and we'll see what the exact setbacks are for the existing house. And
And
you're
it's-
going to provide the board with a couple versions, sort of what Mr.
It's something
Guzowitz
that's
was
not a
suggesting.
60-foot porch, something that's maybe a nice portico over
So
the
they can
front
at least
door.
compare it
With-
to
with-
You can
with a
show the
nice set of
60
steps.
foot as well, so we can see what it looks like, and something abbreviated as well. Because the small one might look weird. I don't know.
Like that.
Yeah, I see it.
Could be nice with landscaping on each side.
Yeah. But you might want a portico going in and out of the laundry room, you know?
I'd have to put two. It just happens where it was. I didn't design the house. The actual design came from another architect, which ended up at the modular home factory.
Any comments from the public?
Public, like to speak? This man? All right. Come on up.
Come on up.
You don't have to stand at the podium.
My name is Stuart Sklar, and I've lived on Narrow Lane for about 22 years, and just bought the property at 57 Potato Field Lane, that dilapidated blue home we knocked down, and we're building, so we've been more...
On the corner?
Yeah.
Where's that in relationship to this?
Kitty corner,
Yeah.
I would say. And we've been watching the progress and working, and we're putting our plans together. And I would say, my response to this is very much echoes what everyone's saying. It seemed odd with the two doors in the front. We weren't quite sure what was going on. But it looks as though now the house, we were wondering and scratching our head because it's a very incomplete, unfinished look right now to the house. I'm not talking about landscaping, but it almost looks like house is being built, and then it was like, what's going on? Because in addition to there not being steps, it's just the entire facade, the entire front of the home is totally unfinished. And I think there's a setback issue, because I guess they're at 40 now, and but I would think from an aesthetic point of view, an error was made. They should have submitted the proper plans or thought about that up front. I think steps going up the center probably won't look great, and I think that when plans are reviewed, probably something wider will provide a more overall finished look to the house, because it would be, I think, important to look at the way it exists right now. It looks totally unfinished from the left side to the right side. So even with landscaping, I think it's going to look like an incomplete house, is my feeling. I'm not an architect, but putting 2 stairs in for each door, I think will be not a great aesthetic fit for the neighborhood.
What about a shed look? Sort of like a buckboard tie-up place in Jackson Hole or something. What does a shed look like?
Oh, like an awning kind of thing?
That's what the plan now.
Yeah, I can't see it though.
Yeah, no, there's an elevation.
What's the proposal?
All right.
John, it would be helpful if you take a few pictures for
I
us.
think it would
too.
be very helpful to look at what the reality of the situation is.
Well, they have no landscaping, I guess, because they figure they're going to do the porch.
I know.
And if there were landscaping, it would soften that's
I agree to a certain
front,
degree.
you
It
know.
just looks like the house is being built and there was a plan. It's hard for me to believe that it was an afterthought with the light and everything, not that I'm criticizing you or thinking that you're not telling the truth, but it just looks like a very unfinished plan, the front. And it looks like the completion's needed to finish off the house.
the concern I had is adding 6 foot across the whole front just moves the whole structure 6 foot closer to the road.
6 feet, well,
Well,
3/4 of the
40
width, I
feet, 40
guess, not
foot,
to
so
the
now you're
garage.
34
3
feet from the road.
Right. I'm not doing the whole house.
Yeah, I think if you guys, you'll see the plans and everything and decide, but I would think from an aesthetic point of view, even though a variance is required and it should have been handled differently, it's going to look a lot better. It's just my feeling, for whatever it's worth.
How do we feel about aluminum-clad columns? They okay for us?
Where are they?
Right in front of the windows? Where are they? They're here.
They're not very attractive column.
Not very attractive. Some of them are right in front of the windows. I don't know.
We're doing 6 by 6 square, where we have the
want to do 6 foot,
You gotta go.
I mean, a 6-inch square. We wanted to do 6-inch square columns with a detail on them.
Metal.
No. If that's what's listed, that's wrong. We want to do them in vinyl.
Take a look at that too, John.
That's what they're calling it.
Aluminum clad is written.
Don't change that. In fact, I can
Might
bring a
be
sample of
look-
it.
It might look nicer with a little heftier column too, than 6x6.
How do you feel about right in front of the middle of a window?
Well, they can place, as they build it, they can
Yeah.
place them any.
We took samples of 8-inch and put them up against the building before the house was built. And then we took samples of 6-inch and put them up against the house. And 8-inch just looked way too big. It was very obtuse, I guess is the proper word. They were out of place. 6-inch looked much better. You know, minimized it.
Okay, as long as they're not 2-inch pipe. Enough, sir. Next, from the audience.
Thank you.
I'm Eileen Scretch. I live at 216 Potato Field, right across the street, so I am looking at this house all the time. It's obvious that the porch was intended from the get-go. The setbacks in the backyard and the front yard are right on the money. So now they want to add the porch so they could have the exact house they wanted. 6 feet is a really nice porch, but it is encroaching in the front yard because it's not just the 6 feet out, it's then another 4 feet of shrubs. And then how much front yard is that? You know, you're in our neighborhood, you like the front yard feel. And all of a sudden, we're like 10, 12 feet of encroaching into the front yard now. So it's like, yeah, the house looks terrible as it is. A porch would be nice. 6 feet, I think, is excessive. Something, give them something on the front, though, because it's pretty pathetic. But to come all the way out with 6 feet, I think they should have done it properly to begin with.
I'd like to comment on that. We had intended to do is just a straight set of steps going up into the front door and on that side door. And then after looking at it, it just didn't look right. So
Maybe
we're going to have to go to something
reverse
else.
gable over the front door, get some nice columns, some nice steps.
We'll draw
It'd be very attractive too, you know.
Couple
So
of
I'd like to
ways.
see what that would look like, because the house is very tall, being 40 foot from the road, and then being very tall, and it's a dark color. It really needs something to soften it, you know, so porch across the whole front is a big grab, but maybe, you know, a nice porch over the, just over the door, a nice entry, and
And we can also
do the
reduce the
trick.
porch down to 4 instead of 6.
Possibly.
yeah, maybe.
Come out 4.
Apparently, we're not buying the solar argument that much.
It's true. We're going to have to do something on that second floor. In fact, we're meeting someone there tomorrow because it just beats straight through. I mean, it's nice in the wintertime, but in the summer,
Well, your afternoon sun is all on the other side of the house,
Yeah,
so.
the south sun is up that way.
it comes straight across that front during the day. And then you get a little bit on the west side on the back bedroom. Okay, so I've got some drawings to do, and
All right. And the lady would like to speak.
I agree with Eileen.
Ma'am, you have to come up and introduce yourself.
All right, I'm Ally Toko at 99 Potato Field, and the house does need something. I'm not sure if it's a 6-foot porch, but it definitely needs some work. Those 2 front doors is odd, and it just, as you guys were saying, is flat and somewhat unattractive for a new home with all the promise that it had. It's somewhat disappointing in the neighborhood, quite frankly. So I don't know what the right thing is. I'm not an architect nor a designer, but I leave it in your hands to do something to make it just a little better. That's it.
Okay.
Anything else to offer?
Anything else?
Thank you all.
So you have an understanding of what you need to bring back? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn for all purposes?
I move we adjourn this application for all purposes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Dan, let me ask you this. We're off record, right?
The September Zoning Board of Appeals meeting is now adjourned.
Now we are.